Happy Thursday to you and yours, Voltrons. It is the 28th of August, and technically, Sarah, being that we're looking at a 4-day weekend, this is a Friday for us. It's going to be our final resting up, essentially, prior to the grind that is this season. So it'll give me a chance to get down to Florida and settle into St. Pete. It'll give you a chance to get together with your family, not once more before football season, but really kind of take a final breather, if you will, before this thing gets going. 10 days from now, when the Ravens and Bills rematch in Buffalo, week 1, Sunday Night Football. And with that, great to be back with you guys. I'm Bobby Trossett. This is Sarah Ellison. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. This one's brought to you by us. It's thevaultpod.com/shop. And Sarah, being that we are 10 days out from regular season football, it would really be something to get some selfies, to get some tags from our people making their way into Highmark Stadium on that Sunday night with their Vault gear on. It would be incredible. Hopefully you guys have a chance to check it out. Maybe you already have. I know many of you have already updated your profile photos on YouTube, which has been awesome to see. But thevaultpod.com/shop is where you can check out our apparel line. And we've got a lot to get to today. But first, how the heck are you? Good to see you.
It's good to see you. I'm still fired up from all the news yesterday. Those are the days that it makes content creating. There's no creating. It's just falling in your lap. And just the Kyle Hamilton news, the 3 undrafted rookies, the practice squad is set. Snoop is back. There are some people that were lost, but just fired up. And Bobby, while we get a little last breather, the players are getting a last breather too. So they have today, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. They come back Monday. We'll come back Tuesday. So Harbaugh giving them, they had an ice cream truck yesterday, just kind of a celebratory last practice with, all the guys that made the team, some of the dreams coming true. And so they'll get back at it and we will get back at it. And I cannot believe that after this last breather, we will be in a normal football week getting ready for that Ravens-Bills game. And ooh, do I want to win that? It's not going to be complete revenge, but I'm going to need a little morsel of it.
That's a great way to set the table. It's a busy time of year for us. We're finalizing sponsorships for in season. I still have to call DHB Senior. That just reminded me. So I'm sorry about that, Douglas. It's been a little bit of a crazy week and a short one at that, being that I've been traveling back from the West Coast. And then, of course, Sarah and I are taking this long weekend. So I do owe him a call. But with all of that said, if you are interested in working with us along the lines of advertising this upcoming season, you can email us at BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. We're very excited about what we have in store for all of you over the next several months. And we're also excited for today's rundown, which begins with Jay Higgins. Sarah, he is one of the 3 undrafted rookies at the linebacker position for Jay specifically that spoke yesterday and that made this 53-man roster, which is why they were speaking yesterday. And I think you and I both agree that in one way or the other, he stole the show. We're going to have some clips from him. We'll talk about Keon Martin and Ruben Lowry along the way as well. After that, a glorious Kyle Hamilton receipt from a couple years ago. Obviously, it was a big day for Kyle yesterday. He is a newly extended Baltimore Raven and the highest paid safety in the entire league. And after that, maybe the good and bad and the ugly from the Baltimore Ravens practice squad that's been finalized. I know you alluded to that off the top. So without further ado, we might as well jump right in, Sarah. This guy, Jay Higgins, man. First of all, we're still trying to track down the famous Roy Higgins, who, of course, has burst onto the Twitter scene in Baltimore. That's the father of Jay Higgins. And as we probably have covered several times now, Jay is the inside linebacker who made this team. He played his college football at Iowa. He was the linebacker of the year in the Big Ten a season ago. So he certainly doesn't need an introduction. But he, as he said on his Instagram post, I was looking through it today. I freaking love this caption. Had to enter in through the back door. That's exactly what he's done over the last few weeks. He showed up, he showed out, he grinded, and really has kind of completed what we both view as this improbable rise. He had to wait all 7 rounds. Didn't even have to wait all 7 rounds to hear his name called. He had to wait months. He had to wait months to hear his name called, and the Ravens did exactly that. Eric DeCosta called him up. We'll get to that in just a bit. A really emotional call. But Jay Higgins, Sarah, he has put on a really impressive display of, I think, football acumen, but also the playmaking ability, kind of showcasing who he is through the early going as a Raven.
Well, I'm glad that you pulled some clips because yesterday, by the time we had wrapped up, I mean, we had already had an Eric DeCosta press conference and we were already getting all the news of the cuts and this and that, but we still hadn't gotten the reaction from all of these guys. And so Jay Higgins, Keon Martin, Ruben Lowry, John Harbaugh, all were at the podium after our show ended yesterday. So which clip did you grab first? Because he really did. You just can't help but root for this guy.
Yeah, I think a great place to start is just how he views the game as a linebacker, because it's good insight. And not only is it a tremendous football answer that got a lot of run yesterday on social media, but I think it's just a good display of insight into how his brain works. And maybe, just maybe, he's going to have a chance to be Roquan Smith's future running mate. I have no idea when that might happen, if it'll happen. Ultimately, he played his way onto this team because of both inside linebacker play and special teams play. Mm-hmm. So if nothing else, just a great display of his football brilliance. And one of the reasons why I'm sure the Ravens were interested in him from the jump as an undrafted rookie. Here's Jay Higgins yesterday at the podium.
I think the game's changed. I mean, dudes are athletic. I mean, you can get a 6'4" guy who's 225 now, and he used to play safety. I think that's just a testament to guys getting bigger, faster, stronger every year. But I mean, I think the game's won in the X's and O's. I'm not the biggest guy. I'm obviously not the fastest guy. But I think there's a feel for inside zone. Like there's a feel for pin pull. Like you got to feel those things. And maybe it's because I went to Iowa and I played with I see fullback and, Linderbaum and, big guards for 5 years. But there's something about just feeling the offensive line and who they're working up to and when that guard's pulling. You just gotta feel those things. And it's cool because Roquan talks like that. He can't really explain why he did what he did every single time, but he has a really good feel of what's going to happen and how the play is going to develop. And I think that's what makes a good linebacker.
I see you grinning over there because he's a lot of fun to listen to. I don't know if it's the baritone voice, Sarah, that he brings to the table, or just based on what we've seen that he can do on the field over the last few weeks. But he's a lot of fun, and it's fun. Jeremiah is referring to it as a super villain voice. That's certainly one way of looking at it. But Sarah, I go back to his combine, and I just pulled up his numbers for those of us who maybe need a reminder on this. Mm-hmm. And this was what knocked him. This was what one of many, including his measurables, knocked him out of the 3 days of drafting, despite the resume, despite the tape at Iowa. Okay, he ran a 4.82 in the 40. And so he just admitted there he's not the fastest guy ever. Vertical jump was 33 inches. Broad jump, 9 foot, 2 inches. Over 7 seconds in the 3-cone drill. 4.35 in the 20-yard shuttle. Athleticism score, according to Next Gen Stats, was 27th overall at the combine among linebackers. Not among players. Among linebackers, he was 27th overall, athletically speaking. Total score, again, this is just ranking his athleticism based on the numbers that he posted. He was the 19th overall with a 67 overall score, and production was 72. That ranked third. So again, I don't want to get too into the weeds of what these scores mean. Point is, it just emphasizes what he was getting at. He's not the most athletically gifted player, and he didn't have the best combine ever. You want to know another player that didn't have the best combine ever? He's the highest paid safety as of yesterday. And so I just think it's a great reminder of the combine isn't everything. It certainly helps with drafting. It certainly helps with where you end up, but it's not everything. And Jay Higgins, Sarah, perhaps is the latest example of somebody who was able to overcome underwhelming performances and postings and measurables from that day in February in Indianapolis and rise he has over the last few months in Baltimore.
It never ceases to amaze me how the NFL can be put off by measurables at the combine. So much so, it's not like measurables are nothing, but did you look at the production? How did those measurables overshadow that he was the leader in the FBS in tackles over the last 2 years. I can't really talk though. I can't really go hard against them. I didn't know. I didn't predict him to make the teams. Not that I didn't want him to. It was a roster crunch. But it's interesting, Bobby, because you've noticed I was grinning while he was talking there.
Yes, I did.
And the reason why
actually, you were cheesing.
The reason why I was cheesing, as you say, is because he basically said what we're seeing on film, which is like, here's why I made it. He didn't stick his chest out. He wasn't being cocky, but he's like, here's why I made it. Because I understand the game. I have a feel for what's going on inside. Last night, Bobby, I went on Huddled Up Films with Jason, our friend Jason, and we were talking about Higgins. And I just said, Jason, I was like, I know I'm a guest on your show, but I want to know what you've seen on film throughout the preseason, because Jason really feels like he could, if Trenton Simpson struggles, Jason's like, he is for sure right behind Trenton Simpson, ahead of Buchanan. And I said, well, what? Tell me what you're seeing on film. And he said that Buchanan, and remember, Roquan Smith, didn't he call him like a Greek god with how he's built, right?
Buchanan.
We'll say that again.
Roquan referred to Buchanan as such.
Correct.
Right?
Yes. He referred to Buchanan as like a Greek god with the way he's built. By the way, shout out to Buchanan. He came on our show. Great guy. Hope he continues to grow and all of that. But he's the one with all the physical characteristics, so much so that he's got this all-pro linebacker, gushing over it. Meanwhile, here's Jay Higgins, who isn't the fastest, and he will in the offseason, he's going to build his body into an NFL body. We've seen that happen time and time again, where like second-year players come back and you're like, dang, you just got yourself into NFL physical body shape. But what Jason said is that with Buchanan, despite all those physical traits, he's still thinking. So he's always like a half a step slow. He's just watching a little half a second too long. Whereas like Higgins is like anticipating. He's already moving. And so for that reason, and he's like, you can see it clear as day on tape. For that reason, he puts Higgins above Buchanan. And then, Trenton Simpson won the job. John Harbaugh gave a huge shout out to him at a press conference last week, talking about how his processing has taken a huge step. That being said, he won the job last year too. And so if he struggles, I think Higgins will be nipping at his heels and he will be breathing down his neck.
Here's more from his press conference yesterday as we get to know more about the reigning Big Ten linebacker of the year and a former Iowa Hawkeye.
It's got loops. It's like cycles around. Recruited, not really recruited out of high school. From Indianapolis, Indiana. Didn't get an IU offer. Didn't get a Purdue offer. That means a lot from a Indianapolis football player. I'm 40 minutes from those campuses, and so Iowa was my first Big Ten offer. Go to Iowa, sit for 3 years, true junior, watching other people play. Then I play, I do everything I possibly can do, and, people tell you it's not enough. So, all I can do is focus on me, focus on, running the ball, tackling the ball, and getting better every day. And usually things tend to work themselves out.
It's impossible not to like this guy. I mean, he's letting you in. He's letting you in on an Indianapolis kid, Sarah, who was passed on by IU, Indiana, who was passed on by Purdue, and who ultimately got a shot with Iowa, but had to sit for his first couple of years. This is a guy you not only want to root for, but this is a guy that you bet on. You don't want to get too caught up in the moment. I get it. We're excited about what he's posted, what he's done over the last few weeks. There's a reason why he wasn't drafted, but there's also a reason why the Ravens took a chance on him. And there's a reason why he's posted what he's done so far in preseason and why they absolutely had no other decision but to keep this guy, because he was not passing through waivers and ending up on the Ravens practice squad. So what a fun watch. What a fun listen he's been.
He does it low key, but I feel like he's like talking a little smack, right? He did it in the first one. Here's why I made the team. And he's like, wanted to point out he was 40 minutes from these schools, just 40 minutes, but he was overlooked. Had to go travel over to a different state that didn't overlook me. So I like it. There's something about inside linebackers that just, like, you just think of Zach Orr and the energy he brings. You think of Roquan Smith. Trenton Simpson has energy, right? Buchanan's a little bit more subtle, but Higgins is right there. He's like, you're just not afraid to speak it, just not afraid to say it and let us know what is like motivating him. Yeah. So, Bobby, speaking of stealing the show, so the Ravens Productions posted a 6-minute video of Eric DeCosta telling these guys that they made the team. I try to cut it down. I think we're at like a minute 40. And all of them are tear jerkers. So I try to just get to the best parts of it. All of them are tear jerkers. But again, Higgins and his dad, we really need to get his dad back. Because you talked with his dad after the show yesterday, right? When he froze. And he's like, I'll come back on, but we've lost communication again. So.
We've been chatting. I would imagine the life of the Higgins family is a little bit of a whirlwind right now. Everybody's trying to get a piece of him. So at some point, hopefully we can get Mr. Higgins on. But yeah, we just haven't been able to nail down a time yet.
Well, we'll still get a taste of what his dad is like in this next clip, because they kind of show each of the undrafted people call their parents. And just like a behind the scenes story, Bobby. So I was off like taking kids to different activities last night. And, every time we go somewhere, I like try to catch up on news. So anyway, I'm like catching up on all the news while my girls are at soccer practice. And then I had watched this full 6-minute video. And my girls are getting back in the car and they look at my eyes and like, were you crying? And I was like, no, I'm not crying, Right. And then I show them the video and I don't think they quite got it. But anyway, here's my favorite about minute 40 from the 6-minute clip.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Doing good?
Heart rate's a little high right now.
Yeah, it's a tough day.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah? Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, boss?
How you doing?
Doing good.
All right?
Doing good.
Tough day. It's a tough day. I make a lot of hard decisions. These are the hardest days for me to make these decisions, and it's like one of the hardest things we have to do, and it's gonna be really hard for a lot of guys. But not you. You made it. You made it. You made it. You made it. Because I love Hawkeyes, and you made the team, man. You just busted your ass every day. You kept stacking good days, and you earned it, man. And it's a hard position to make, but you earned it.
Yeah,
this is
crazy.
yours.
No way.
Yes way. You earned it. You had a great preseason. You really did. Showed up every day, busted your ass every day.
Man.
Were you nervous?
Heart racing, man.
Dude, I had a long night last night. That's crazy.
You made it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for real.
What up, man? You at work?
Yes.
They called me upstairs.
Uh-huh.
And they told me I made the team. I made the 53.
Yeah! Oh my God! Oh my God! Yes!
They brought me into the office.
What they saying?
He said I made it.
No, you didn't, Jay.
He said I made it.
Okay, let me call you back. Let me call you back.
I
love you. I love you.
What's up, Dad?
Hey, what's going on?
I got some crazy news for you.
What's the news?
I made the 53-man roster, Dad.
You know what? Can you text your mama?
You can call. If she's at work, I'll text her.
I'll call. You do your thing. Congratulations. We will talk later tonight and celebrate, okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Not hearing your name called, like, just a dream. That was a dream of mine, to hear my name called, have my family celebrate. You get to the last pick in the draft and no one calls your name, and you just start questioning, is this really what I'm supposed to do? Like, am I really supposed to be a football player? Am I as bad as all the articles say you are? It just feels good knowing that, like, I'm doing the right thing. Like, I can play football in the National Football League and I can play for the Ravens.
I held strong that time, Bobby. I did not cry. I was tempted. I thought that's probably the third time I've seen it, maybe fourth, because I had to cut that up. Woo! It's so satisfying to see people work hard and then achieve their dreams. And then you add the parents into it, and it just like takes it to another level. And Mr. Roy Higgins, it's like, let me call you back. He's like very self-aware that he's about to be a mess. He's about to be a mess. He knows it. He's like, let me call you back. Like 5 seconds into the phone conversation. Oh my gosh. It just has got to be like such a bittersweet day for Eric DeCosta and that whole crew, because I got to tell the other guys, no, they didn't put that on film. Thankfully, nobody wants to like who's getting cut wants to hear that. But those are moments that I'm sure make their job. You know, there's like winning the Super Bowl, there's draft night, and then there's got to be right underneath it telling undrafted rookies that they made the team.
Can we all relate to those? I guess for those of us who played high school sports, middle school sports, youth sports with cuts involved, that how about the wording from Eric DeCosta? Yeah, it's a tough day. Pause. But not for you.
But not for you.
You're just like on a cliff. You're just on a cliff waiting with your entire football dreams waiting in the wings, right? Hinging on this major moment. And you're walking up the stairs. And like Jay says, my heart rate is through the roof, right? He's been up all night. And Eric just lets it hang, lets it sit for a couple seconds that probably feels like hours. And then, oh, by the way, you're on the 53. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's the ultimate actor, man. I mean, Ravens Productions and Jay O'Brien and everybody over there at the facility must love this guy because, he's a GM. Yeah, he's an executive, but the guy's a heck of an actor.
Yeah.
He makes these videos.
He has to because he does lie for a living, and he's very open about that. So, Bobby, before we fully move on from the video, I'm going to mute it. And I found this to be hilarious. I noticed this morning when I was cutting it up. Can you take a look at his assistant that is bringing in the players? Okay. So the first one, she brings in Jay Higgins first. I'm kind of cut off here, but there she is right there. Okay. And she, leaves pretty quickly. Okay. Then let me see here when the next guy comes in. Okay, now she's lingering. She kind of wants to watch. So there's the one for Keon Martin. And then here she is really lingering like Ruben Lowry. She wanted to stay and be a part of it.
Yeah.
Oh man, awesome. It reminded me, I remember when I was an intern in the public relations department at the Ravens, and Kevin Byrne was still the head of public relations. And he sent me down to go find Kyle Buller. That year. And Kyle, who was obviously the starting quarterback, had been injured. But he was about to come back the next week. And so he asked me to go get Kyle. So I go get Kyle, I go find him, around the locker room or whatever, and I bring him up. And before I can even leave, I see Kevin being like, "Oh, Kyle, and I mean, this was back when we were like in quarterback HE double hockey sticks. You know what I mean? It was just like the worst time quarterback wise. Like Joe Flacco started to bring us out of it, and then Lamar Jackson's taking it to another level. And so he starts talking to Kyle, but like the way it started, it was like I just wanted to stay and listen. So I did. Like his intern, and I just sat there and watched them talking. So finally Kevin had to say, "Thank you, Sarah." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, Kevin, let me get out and let you guys have like your private conversation." That was like 20, like my young 20s doing that and having to be kicked out. So that's why I saw her. I was like remembering back to that. And I was like, I remember that where I just wanted to be a fly on the wall and listen to conversations.
Oh yeah. I'm just doing what I'm asked here. I'm overseeing the player, making sure to facilitate this chauffeuring that's happening.
You get it. There we go. And I thought maybe you would want me to chauffeur him back to the locker room when you're finished, And so did you want me to take notes? Because I'll take notes for you.
Way to go. Way to do your job, as Bill would say, Bill Belichick. But I know we kind of like singled out Jay too in terms of like the podium stuff, but I just want to say that I thought, Keon Martin as a tryout player, right? He gets the tryout opportunity at Ravens rookie mini camp earlier this offseason and turns it into a 53-man roster spot. I mean, just an exceptional. There's really obviously all undrafted rookies in a sense are underdogs, but Keon's like the underdog of underdogs. I mean, this is a player that played at like 3 different high schools, a couple prep schools. grew up in the Deerfield Beach area, so he's a Floridian, and then went to Youngstown State to play college football, transferred to Louisiana, finds himself on this 53-man roster. What an exceptional story he is. And we all know the summer that Ruben Lowry had. So, a Chattanooga kid, somebody that just literally willed his way in through special teams, got an opportunity defensively in the secondary, and in a way, I would think stole Bo Braid's roster spot. So this is it's a fun undrafted rookie class. We're probably not going to be talking about them a lot over the next few months, so it's nice that they get their face time now. But you never know. Maybe one of these three will emerge in the next year or two. So great stuff across the board. And yeah, some tearjerker stuff. Good edit there because that was definitely worth a watch.
All right, so should we do we're going to get into some practice squad because the final practice squad was announced after our show ended yesterday. So we'll react to that, but maybe we can get to some super chats first.
Yeah, I agree. And it's our guy, Will. He was on my show yesterday. He says, by the way, he just started his first semester of college. So congrats. To who's become my nephew on the Bobby Baltimore side of things. That's the running joke we're calling it. I guess I'm old enough to have a nephew now. But Will says, I asked Bobby yesterday on his stream, and I wanted to ask Sarah this question. What stars/key players do you think the Ravens won't sign back since EDC acknowledged that he won't sign everyone? Much love, Bobby, Sarah, and the Voltrons. And I'll just give you some context to this question, Sarah, from yesterday. He referred to it as he updated his question here today. And yesterday it was just which star player or players might not be re-signed. Now it's what star/key players might not be re-signed, which is an important distinction because I felt like as you look at what Eric has already done and his front office have already done this offseason alone, we know that stars, Derrick Henry, and then after that, it becomes the question like, okay, well, how do you define star? I think Ronnie Stanley, this is what I shared yesterday with Will, I think Ronnie Stanley was once a star, was once an all-pro. At this point, I feel like he's working himself back up to that potential label. He's a Pro Bowl type player. He is a standout type player, and he is their franchise left tackle. I think it's fair to say that he was a former all-pro, a former star, and I hope he proves me wrong in 2025. So that's the context here. Long story short, again, this is your super chat. It's for you. I just want to give you context so that you're not like all over the place. I kind of felt like they have already signed their stars. Lamar is up next, of course. We'll see what happens with Tyler Linderbaum, but I don't view Odafe Owe, for example, as a star. Is he a key player for them? He was last year, and maybe he will be this year. So those are my thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, Odafe Owe was going to be the first guy I say. I don't think the Ravens are going to re-sign him. I think there's a chance he could have. Well, we both predicted it that he'll lead the Ravens with sacks this year in his contract year. And you know what? If Mike Green turns out to be a bust, which he is not on that trajectory, he's on the trajectory of the opposite. I think when you have, it's kind of like what Eric DeCosta said yesterday between Keon Martin and Jalen Armour-Davis. He was like, well, one guy I can have for cheap for 4 or 5 years. One guy, this is going to be his last year. And I think with Mike Green, it's going to make Odafe Owe have to hit the market, but I do think he'll probably get paid handsomely, especially if he has double-digit sacks. So I think he's one the Ravens won't be able to re-sign. I think it's going to be tough to pay Travis Jones and Nnamdi Madubuike. That's going to be rough, but it's going to be rough to let him go out the door too. We'll see if he has a breakout year. We've all been predicting it a couple years in a row now, but maybe this is the year it finally happens. I think one of either Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely. I just, again, there's a possibility that they pay Isaiah Likely the new tight end 1 money, and maybe Mark Andrews just loves it here so much that he's like, hey, it's my 3rd contract. I'll take a discount or whatever. But I think the more likely scenario that it'll be one of those two. And I feel like Zay Flowers is still down the line. I think that the Ravens are going to wait on that. Whereas like with Kyle Hamilton, obviously they get out early for him. Like technically he had 2 more years on his contract if they did like the 5th year option and all that. So, yeah, I think those guys, Odafe, Travis, one of Isaiah or Mark, and then I still see Zay down the road still.
I think that's good stuff. Thanks, Will. It sparked the whole conversation yesterday. So DHB Senior's in the house, and he writes, glad that you two are going to get some time off to get ready for the 20-0 rush. DHB Senior has also emailed us again about being my St. Pete shotgun rider.
What are you going to do?
I think because my schedule is so all over the place in terms of what the second leg's going to be. I know I'm going to Baltimore tomorrow for a visit to Preston, the dealership, and dentist appointments and seeing some cousins. I just haven't finalized the second half of the weekend yet, DHB Senior. So I appreciate your offer. I'll let you know if anything changes, but I literally don't think I'm going to have any room for a passenger. So a co-pilot, but he is the man for offering. And guess what,
So
Sarah?
awesome.
I think he's dead serious too about this offer.
Oh, I know he is. With all the emails we've gotten, he for sure is.
He's the man. Katie Ramey has gifted a Voltron membership on this Thursday. So thank you, Katie. And Sarah, Nick Marty is in the house with a super chat.
Nick edited this for me. Appreciate you, Nick. He says, F the haters, Bobby and Sarah. I'd rather listen to you guys all day while I'm driving to my next stops than listen to anything that's on ESPN or NFL Network because it's all trash.
Appreciate you, Nick. DHB Senior matches Katie's Voltron membership gift earlier on. And here's another one from Nick. He says, Bobby, I would like to see you reach out to former Raven Marcus Applefield. He's doing a lot of good things for our youth locally, and I think he would be great to have on O-line stuff. Noted. Appreciate you, Nick. Love when we get like
leads,
offers, or suggestions on former Ravens to reach out to, because we have a lot on our plate, and we always like the reminder. Eric Hill has gifted 10 Voltron memberships on this Thursday, so thanks to Eric. 10 new subscribers out there are being randomly assigned Voltron status. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you, man. Ravens Flock 5752. Sarah, this one's for you.
EDC said Higgins could, quote, play for 15 years. Watch out. He sure did. We mentioned that yesterday. And then one quote that we didn't pull, Bobby, is that Jay Higgins said at the podium that Zach Orr was like a motivation for him. And he said one of the reasons why he chose to come to Baltimore as an undrafted free agent was because of Zach Orr, and that he appreciates the linebacker position. And obviously Zach's not going to like turn down at anybody just because they weren't drafted, because that's where he came from. So, man, it just feels like such a good marriage between the Ravens and Higgins.
Really cool Iowa pipeline continues too. Sod Blitz 3445 says, I'm going to put a twist on the Ravens 53 graphic in Discord and tag you, Bobby. It's one I know Sarah will absolutely love. We'll be on the lookout. Appreciate you. By the way, Sod, you can always email us those graphics too. Sometimes Discord gets a little populated in there because we're coming up on 1,000 members, which has been a fun community to be part of. And Park Heights Profit, Sarah, right on cue. It's an orange banner. That joins Will with the 2 orange banners today. It's a $20 super chat, and this one's for you.
Let's go. The march to greatness continues. 3 UDFA speaks to the greatness of the front office. Their dreams are a reminder that it is not where you start, Baltimore, but where you finish, Santa Clara. Hashtag 20-0, hashtag no picks, hashtag MV3.
What's up,
It
PhD?
really is. It's not about where you start for sure.
And a special shout out to our merch queen. That is Carly Fleischer. She's wearing her Vault sweatshirt on this Thursday. Had to pop in and say hello. Continued thanks to Carly for taking care of business for us on the back end of our new merch line that dropped last month. And that can be found at thevaultpod.com/shop. Sarah, as promised, let's talk about the practice squad. It's a 17-man group, and it's led by the newest Raven back for another stint, and it's QB3 Tyler Snoop Huntley. They brought him in after Cleveland released him. Clearly the Browns, Sarah, had enough quarterbacks with them in their building.
You don't say.
Snoop was competing, ultimately ends up being released, and now you have your Devin Leary replacement, if you will. He is one of 17, Sarah, on this list.
Yeah, so let's start with Snoop real quick and the significance of bringing him back. So the Ravens obviously said goodbye to Devin Leary. We all knew he was going to get cut, but I wasn't sure if they're going to bring him to the practice squad. He is not on the practice squad. Snoop Huntley is. And you know what? We're going to give grace to EDC and T. Martin, because we'll remember EDC said that they gave the assignment to T. Martin to go out and find a backup quarterback. And T. Martin loved Devin Leary. So that ends that relationship. Luckily, Martin is great with Lamar and everything else he does, so we will give him grace for that one. But that one did not work out. Somebody had asked us in a super chat a while back, would you take Snoop Huntley? And I was like, for QB3? Yeah, absolutely. And that is exactly what we have here. We all love Snoop. And what's interesting is obviously since he's left Baltimore, Bobby, he's had quite a bit of experience. He was in Miami. He's obviously was in Cleveland. Was there another stop along in there?
I think that's been it so far.
Okay, well, he got some more starting experience in Miami. And John Harbaugh says that he can see that he's obviously, he said it's clear that he's gotten better.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's pretty interesting when you watch Tyler, and I've been watching his games on tape, you see the growth. And he's had to travel a journey. It's been a hard road for Tyler, but that's how you grow, right? The scars are stronger than the other parts of the bone, and he's had his bones broken, so to speak, a little bit, and bounced back and competed. And I see him out here today. He looks really good, and I think it makes our team stronger to have him in that spot.
Yeah, so good to see that. What was your reaction to Snoop being back?
I just think it's smart. It's smart, right? He's going to lead the scout team now, right? He's going to be a big part of prep and a big part of opponent strategizing and getting the starters throughout the week in line and backups in line for potential duty. So given his experience, even though the starter record isn't something to write home about, I just think it's smart. He has a familiarity with the system. Clearly, he and Lamar are lifelong friends. There's a South Florida connection in there. Snoop's mobility allows him to maybe sometimes simulate for Baltimore's defenses potential dual threat quarterbacks that they're going up against. So again, while he's not going to be the guy that, God forbid, they ever get to QB3, would keep them in it, and he's unfortunately proven that. I'm going back and forth on whether or not I want to call him a serviceable backup, because we've sort of learned what the league views of him. Miami was in a major rut last year. They had their backs up against the walls, and they had to go with Snoop. It didn't work out well in Tua's absence. It didn't work out well for the Ravens when Lamar was injured several years ago. So he's hovering around that line of like primary backup quarterback. I don't think he's in that upper echelon category. I think Cooper Rush is obviously the more serviceable option. And so if we're evaluating him for QB3 and what that consists of in Baltimore on this practice squad, hoping that QB1 and QB2 aren't ever injured and he's thrust into a position where you're trying to keep this team in it down the stretch, it's just it's a nice line of depth that they have at the quarterback room.
It's a very nice line of depth. The word serviceable can be, vague, and people can have it mean different things. So to me, it's just that one is an above 500 backup quarterback and one is a below 500 backup quarterback. And so you go with the one that's above 500. So meanwhile, I think some good moves at the rate of two guys that is particularly, I think, was good news for the Ravens to get back. CJ Okoye and Chandler Martin. And I know a lot of people were nervous that CJ would be taken once he hit the waiver wire. He was not. And Karita Parks over at, give me the right pronunciation,
Bowie TV,
grabbed this scene yesterday when CJ went back out and people were clapping. His teammates were like just welcoming him back, knowing that he did make the practice squad. Just they're all laughing and talking together. You got some hugs there and all that. So kind of cool to see them celebrate. Hey, we're glad that you're still here and that you're on the practice squad. So I think those are two good moves. We already knew yesterday during our show that Jalen Armour-Davis, CJ Revenell, both got picked up by Tennessee, and then Bo Braid, all of them were claimed off of waivers. What we didn't know at the time is, I know that one's yours. Here's the one I want. I'll let you speak to your slide in just a minute. What we didn't know is how many teams try to pick them up. Jalen Armour-Davis had 4 teams who put in claims for him. the Titans, who ended up getting him, Saints, Dolphins, and Eagles. So glad he didn't go to the Eagles. Stay away, Howie. Bo Braid had 2 with both the Giants and Jags. So then there's some other names here that were not Ravens. And then I'll let you take your slide because this is kind of crazy and lets you again know how talented the Ravens are at drafting and the undrafted pool.
Yeah, we referenced the summer 2023 tweet from Nick Cordy recently. I can't remember if it was on my show or here. It was definitely on mine. I don't know if we duplicated it on the vault, but basically what it was going through what he does here. And for the audio only audience, it was the 2023 version was first sort of resurfacing through Twitter. And now here's the 2025 version of the cut down and waiver claim results. And what I mean by that is across the league, according to Nick's count, there were 608 players waived. 29 of those were claimed by other teams for a percentage of 4.77. The Ravens, of those 29, Sarah, and you just mentioned all 3 of them, had 3 of those. 3 claims.
So what percent is that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a percentage that suggests and almost confirms that what they do operationally, personnel-wise, is elite. And think about this. If you didn't decide to keep 3 undrafted rookies the way they did on the defensive side of the ball alone, that number could have been as many as 6 of the 29. So it's impressive. It's an indication of, as Eric said yesterday, how long these guys have been working together. There's a bunch of lifelong Ravens in there. There's a Hall of Famer in Ozzie Newsome that's still very much part of the organization. But I think you just got to tip your cap to these area scouts, right? These guys that no one knows within the fan base that spend so much time away from their family. Just ask Lacey DeCosta, Mrs. EDC, about her time coming up, raising a family with Eric out of the house all the time before he rose to the ranks of executive. These guys do their time. They understand these players, these small school players that don't get a lot of limelight, many of whom go on to have flourishing careers as undrafted rookies. So it's just a cool time of year where these guys get the due that they deserve for the grind that they put in their industries.
It's funny because we were discussing the headline for today's show and you were like, is improbable the right word? Is improbable the right word? And I was like, yeah, it's the right word. And these numbers right here prove it. Less than 5% of the guys, 608 people were cut. Only less than 5% were put on a 53-man roster. I don't know what percent were put on the practice squad. But in terms of actually being on the team, those hopes and dreams died over the weekend for hundreds and hundreds of players. And many of these hundreds were lucky to just even get a chance to even try out or be there during training camp. So that's less than 5%. The 3 of those 29 is just over 10%. So just over 10% of the 5 that even made it through were from Baltimore. And here's what's also crazy, Bobby. Now knowing, because Eric DeCosta said yesterday that he tried to do a couple trades, but they didn't come to fruition. I bet it was Jalen Armour-Davis, maybe Bo Braid. Because when you have 4 teams putting in claims, then for sure, Eric DeCosta, the right thing to do as a GM is try to be like, I know there's going to be a lot of people putting in claims. He could go to Howie and say, Howie, he's not going to make it to you. You're like number 32 of the 32 teams on the waiver wire. It's not going to make it to you. So do you want to hand me a 7th round pick or something like that? The problem is that he did only have 1 more year on his contract and he does have that injury history. So I think that hurt Eric DeCosta's case to get a draft pick out of him. But I can see why he was in trade talks. He didn't say it was with Jalen, but I'm very confident that it was.
Yeah, no, it's just an embarrassment of riches on one of the deepest rosters that they've had in years. And speaking of that roster, I think we've gotten some questions about Garrett Dellinger. He was the 7th round pick offensive lineman Cleveland announced that they have signed, the Browns have, 6 players to their practice squad. He was one of them. As Jeff notes here, Jeff Zaribek of The Athletic, Ravens wanted him on their practice squad, but he himself opted to explore other options. So he ends up in the division still with Cleveland.
Yeah, so this one is interesting. I know that a few people were I don't know if upset's the right word. Maybe disappointed that the Ravens weren't able to keep these 2 developmental guards. I think I have, right here. Ken McCusick was one of them. A lot of people that didn't like that Ken wrote this, but I think it's fair. I don't think he was like saying the Ravens could have done something different, because he said it was expected given their roster depth all summer. But the Ravens hemorrhaged a lot of talent between their waiver wire claims, Braid, JAD, and Ravenel. But then I think this next word, and a failure to re-sign their own players who they cut that went unclaimed. Jason Jones, Dellinger, and Dalcourt. He said other than Huntley, they didn't have any player signed to the initial practice squad who came from another team. So it is kind of, I wonder if Dellinger will speak at all in Cleveland. I mean, probably not. He's only on their practice squad. But it's interesting to me that he chose to go elsewhere. I think the Ravens, as Jeff put out here, said that they wanted to re-sign him, but he wanted to explore other options. And it's just interesting because Ben Cleveland is on a 1-year deal. And there's obviously a lot of noise about Fa'alele. And I don't know what the guard situation is in Cleveland. Maybe he'll have a better shot over there. But it's not like the guard situation in Baltimore is like, it's not like it's Marshall Yonda there and he's never going to get a shot, I guess is what I'm saying.
Sure.
So I'm curious why he wanted to go explore options elsewhere. But I will say this. I think that while it is not fun to see like these developmental guys choose to go elsewhere, let's not forget Eric DeCosta and his comments about Emory Jones and how he still feels like he can contribute this season. And he very well may be that guard. So I don't know, maybe Dellinger saw his old teammate. It was like, I'm not beating him out when he comes back. And so maybe he saw that. But yeah, that's what EDC said. He said, the one thing I can tell you about Emory is he's a physical, combative player. He fits our mentality. And he talked about how he looked forward to still seeing him at practice this year and that he still thinks he will contribute this year. So even those guys are out the door, let's not forget about Jones because he is on the verge of returning.
Would have been nice a month ago, right, to have a legitimate competition at guard, I think, for a lot of people. But again, that shoulder surgery that he underwent not long after the combine obviously was the reason as to why that never came to fruition. And some practice notes before we talk about a really entertaining Kyle Hamilton receipt from a couple of years ago, being that he is now extended and the highest paid safety in the entire league. Jeff was asked by a fan on Twitter, do you think Jair, meaning Jair Alexander, plays week 1? Again, notable, very notable, that he has not practiced since August 9th. He was seen on a practice field off to the side working on some conditioning at the end of last week. But this is a player that is well less than a year removed from that torn PCL in his knee. And Jeff wrote back to @LJ creative handle there. I'm skeptical he'd have to be on practice field by Monday, meaning Labor Day. So I guess we'll see next week. But yeah, it's almost been 3 weeks since he last practiced. Having 2 or 3 days of practice in little less than a month, and then having to face Allen and the Bills is a tall task. I think we both certainly co-sign that. I am not holding my breath by any stretch of the imagination, expecting him to be out there on Sunday Night Football, Sarah. But what say you about this?
I'm waiting till Monday. I want to see if he's around on Monday. To Jeff's point, yeah, he could probably do it if he was back on Monday, but anything less, no. But listen, I think John Harbaugh said it well the other day. He said it's a long season and we want to do this right. So you said it's been less than a year. You don't know the exact months on when he had that surgery?
I want to say it was January.
Oh yeah, that is pretty recent then. That is pretty recent. So it's kind of like like we didn't watch the injury happen, right? Because he was with Green Bay. But January is a quick turnaround. I want Jair Alexander right in December. I mean, as much as we want to get these wins early for seeding purposes against the Bills and the Chiefs. Okay, I had this conversation with my husband the other day. We went to dinner the other day, and we went through the schedule because he wanted to hear my predictions, the schedule predictions, which we did months ago, right? My husband, I think, ended up having the Ravens at 12-5. I think I was 13-4. And so we talked about the Bills, and he's like, oh, so really? He's like, I think the difference was he thought the Ravens would lose to the Bills week 1. And I was like, honey, not only do I think I always call him honey. Is that what made you laugh?
Yeah. I just love Trevor. I mean, he's just so invested in what you do. It was great catching up with him yesterday too, in an impromptu phone call.
Yeah. Anywho, I was like, honey, not only do I think the Ravens are going to win week 1, but I think they're going to win convincingly. Like in my mind, I don't know why you're laughing. I'm telling you, Bobby, I think they're going to win convincingly. Not like I don't know if it'll be the beatdown of week 3 last year. I mean, that was a beatdown. But like, I honestly believe the Ravens are so much more talented than the Bills. And that game up in January was for sure Ravens inflicted. They're not going to have that weather advantage, right? It's not going to be in January. This is week 1 when the weather's still going to be nice. It's going to be, I'm sure, beautiful, perfect football weather at night in Buffalo. And I just think they're going to win convincingly. And so my point being is it would be nice to have Jair there, but I think they can win without him. And so, like, as John Harbaugh said, they're being cautious. They're bringing him along slowly. They want to do it right. They probably have to save him from himself a little bit. We need him in December. We don't need him in week 1.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's pretty obvious when you start to read the tea leaves and all these press conference nuggets that have been given to us through EDC or Harbaugh, or whoever's spoken on this. They're being very careful with him. And I think they're being respectful to his wishes, maybe, whether it's indirect or direct, because we all remember what his father went on ESPN Milwaukee and said about his time coming to an end, and some of the, what's the right word for it? Some of the friction between his camp and Green Bay towards the end. And ultimately they couldn't agree on a restructured contract. So he's already had a knee drain, right? He's had some swelling. He hasn't practiced since August 9th, like we said. Seems as if it's going to be, and you're right, we should wait till Monday until I actually say that this is a bit of a reach to expect him to play and turn around 10 days from now and play. So we'll wait till Monday. But ultimately, correct. You're correct. They absolutely don't need him to win. It'd be nice to have him throughout the season for sure, because when he's healthy, he's proven this guy's an all-pro. So those are some practice. That's one practice note.
Well, yeah. So
what
just
else you got from yesterday?
Well, just a couple more of the guys that were missing yesterday. Or originally, people had seen Tyler Loop missing, but John Harbaugh said that he was actually at M&T Bank Stadium kicking. Great, get used to the bank. Let's get used to that. So he just wasn't at Owings Mills. Marlon Humphrey had a vet rest day. Then it was Jair, Jake Hummel, Isaiah Likely, and Patrick Ricard who were not there. Remember last week, Harbaugh said everybody except for Isaiah would be back next week. And Jair was included. That's what he said last week. So I think that Ravens, knock on wood, are in a pretty good position health-wise.
All right. Kyle Hamilton chatter coming up in just a minute. But first, some super chats. And we should mention there's over 1,700 concurrents in here at the moment on this Thursday. So thank you. Please like the video if you could. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member by pressing that join feature. You can give membership through that as well. And we'd love for you to visit thevaultpod.com/shop before the regular season kicks off to get yourself a piece of Vaultron merch. Dre Dog gets us started back into the super chat game, and he writes, love Zay. However, if he wants number 1 wide receiver money, I can't see the Ravens paying him that. Although he's the Ravens number 1, he's not a true number 1 in this league. I tend to agree. He's the Ravens number 1, but when you look across the league and play that compare-contrast game, Sarah, just not quite what most number 1s are around the league for teams that have different offense. By the way, different offenses typically. Ravens don't run the prototypical NFL offense, but I tend to agree with Dre.
Yeah. It's interesting. Zay's one I just want to kick the can on, right? Because kick the can down the road because he is so he's only got 2 years under his belt. He's going into his 3rd year. The first time he'll be eligible is next year. So I guess Eric DeCosta could try to go early to try to get him cheaper because the prices are only going to raise. But technically, the Ravens still have him for 3 more years if they exercise that 5th-year option. Then after that, look, we look at all the wide receiver rankings. Zay's consistently outside the top 10. Maybe he's around top 15. And so, if he's willing to go there, obviously he loves being with Lamar. He and Lamar are practically best friends. So maybe he and his agent see that it's not I don't know. I would say top 15 money, something like that. But even that's super expensive. So I'm not ready to say yay or nay yet on Zay. That all rhymed. Yay, nay, Zay. So I'm kicking the can down the road on giving my final prediction on him.
People are losing their minds in the chat as if this decision's looming recently.
Yeah.
It's or around the corner. It's nowhere near needing to get done. He did change his representation, Sarah. We covered that earlier this offseason. So he is gearing up for the next year or two of this perhaps negotiation kickstarting with the Ravens front office. But it's just so premature to have the conversation. I'm fine with Dre. Dre's obviously entitled to his opinion. I don't necessarily disagree at this point. Zay's still got a lot more time, though, to change this narrative around. He's only 2 years in. He's coming off a Pro Bowl caliber season. He's coming off, the first homegrown Raven, eclipsing 1,000 receiving yards, and is obviously a true weapon for them. But I don't think it's this crazy statement to say that on most other NFL teams he's not going to be your number 1 wide receiver. Doesn't mean that there aren't teams out there that he wouldn't be.
I think that maybe not this draft, but next draft, I think we might see Eric DeCosta taking some receivers high again.
Maybe.
Just for some insurance.
Tony Love is in the building, and he's asking me, who do you think is the better QB, Lamar or Allen? Both are ridiculously talented, but I'm going with Lamar. I think he wills his team to victory and minimizes weaknesses better than anybody in this league. I think he's got the more impressive resume at this point. These guys are draft classmates. Josh has been more consistent in the postseason. Lamar has been trending in the right direction in the month of January, but give me Lamar. Devin Jean-Pierre, Sarah, with a 20 spot, 20 new Voltrons, 20 new channel members, thanks to DJP, who, of course, just welcomed his son into the world recently. So shout out to the Jean-Pierre family. And Sarah, this one's for you. It's from our guy, JL Green.
It says, talk that talk, Sarah. Bills lose convincingly.
And it's Pete06 who inspired our off-the-rails conversation from earlier this week. He writes, been healthy ever since firing Saunders, meaning Steve Saunders, the former strength and conditioning coach that was let go 2 years ago now, Sarah. Scott Elliott assumed the position. They seem to really like him. There's more specialized workout regimens, I think, based on injury history, position group, expectation, desires, visions, so on and so forth. Don't know if there's a correlation between Steve being gone and the healthy bill, the clean bill of health for the most part that they've had. There's also been injuries. Ardarius Washington comes to mind. Who else did they lose last year? Arthur Mollett. Keaton Mitchell tore his ACL back in December of 2023. So it's not like it's not like a full clean bill of health, but certainly they've been. It hasn't been anything like 21 and 22, Sarah. We know that.
Those were like disaster years. Those were like years that you're like, is this even real? How is it? How can you have this many injuries in training camp? Or it was bad.
Insane.
It was bad.
Why don't you take this one from Queon?
Dream says, are y'all saying Zay doesn't deserve top money because of his size? Because Dreams is about your height, right? Or maybe a little bit shorter, I think he said in the past.
I think Dream said he's 5'5".
5'5". So the little guys deserve to be paid just as much as the next one. Dreams, that is not what I'm saying. That sounds like you're projecting that one a little bit. To me holding back on Zay is more a function of how much talent the Ravens have. And so, like, if you're paying Lamar Jackson top money and now you're paying Kyle Hamilton top money, you paid Nnamdi Madubuike top money, Roquan Smith has top money. Who else? Derrick Henry's top money, but he'll probably be off, I'm assuming, because he signed he's got 2 more years now, right?
Which player? Roquan?
No, I was talking about Derrick Henry.
Derrick.
Did they sign a 2-year extension?
Derrick has, oh gosh, I got to look. It's either 2 or 3.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's either 2 or 3. I almost want to say it's 3. But to me it's more that, or like, and then there's Tyler Linderbaum and there's Isaiah Likely, and it's like more like who can they realistically replace through the draft? And like so for example, like, would you say, Dreams, does Kyle Hamilton make a bigger impact at his position versus Zay Flowers at his position? I would want to say that Kyle Hamilton makes a bigger impact on his. That doesn't mean that Zay doesn't make a huge impact. So to me, it's just the reason why I'm hesitating on Zay is thinking back to what Eric DeCosta said yesterday. He says, we got a lot of good players and we want to pay them all, but the reality is that we won't be able to. And so again, I'm not saying not to re-sign Zay. I'm just saying we got 3 years. So let's see what else happens.
In other words, it has nothing to do with his size, but
no, nothing to do with size. Yeah.
Quion's just having a good time. He's the man. PHP Park Heights Profits checking in. He says, for those worried about paying, oh, by the way, Derrick has 3 more years under contract, including this year. So that'll run him through 2027 in Baltimore, and he'll hit unrestricted free agency in 2028. PHP says, for those worried about paying Zay or anyone, who has EDC let walk, who has left and flourished away from Baltimore? We pay our players, so name the player we lost solely for money. I will wait.
The closest.
You know who went on to have a nice little first year with New England not long ago?
We talking about Matt Judon?
Matthew Judon.
So Matthew Judon, and then the other outside linebacker, Zadarius Smith, had a pretty good career. What about, what's his name? The 7th, Ozzie Newsome's final draft pick in the 7th round. He just signed a huge contract with Miami. Defensive end. Zach Sealer. But that just got washed up. That wasn't because he had played well and they didn't want to pay him. He just got washed up in like all the roster kind of machinations. So I don't know that
Queen did not have a good year for those
no.
talks. He did not have a good first year in Pittsburgh. And you want to know who had a worse year than him, also in the division? Geno Stone in Cincinnati.
I also wouldn't put Deshaun Elliott in that. Like, the Ravens are way better off at safety.
Well, the problem with Deshaun was nobody's ever questioned his tenacity, toughness, skill level, right? Is he available? And unfortunately for him, it's just been up and down. Now, he's also in the division. He was also in the division.
Kevin Zeitler, I feel like, you remember Kevin Zeitler at the end of his Ravens career, he and Morgan Moses, their bodies were breaking down at the end of the season. So the Ravens moved on from them. It wasn't like a situation where like they were playing super well and then they just didn't want to pay. I think the Ravens made a conscious choice to get younger. I think that's different from saying, oh, I'm just not going to pay him. Because Kevin Zeitler, he would have been more expensive than Fa'alele, but it's not like he would have broken the bank. I think that they were more concerned about his age and his body breaking down. He did go on and have a pretty good year. But I just wouldn't put it in the category that we're talking about.
It's good. It's good exercise.
Yeah, fun to talk about.
Good exercise. We got to talk about Kyle Hamilton, and we will in just a second here, thanks to all 1,800 plus concurrents that are joining us right now. If you could like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. We would greatly appreciate it. And let's quickly get our patrons in here to say thanks for their support and commitment at patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. Dion Coleman and Lisa Schaffner both give us a ton of support and have since the jump. They are 2 of our first patrons ever, and they've been supporting us for years now. So Dion, Lisa, thank you both Hope you both are having a fantastic end to summer. Patreon.com/RavensVault podcast is where you can learn more about getting involved, and all that information can be found in the show notes below. Partner, I pass it over to you. Let's talk about the newly extended Baltimore Raven and a receipt that's attached to it as well.
Absolutely, we need to, because when we ended the show, Kyle Hamilton still hadn't reacted to his blockbuster, historic contract, now becoming the latest, highest paid safety in the NFL. And Bobby, it was like a huge gap from the last highest paid guy. I mean, it was a huge gap. And so Kyle Hamilton was at podium. He talked about how this was a dream come true. And he also talked about how he remembers his draft night. So pay attention to both those things. Here is Kyle. Hold on. Which one is it? Is it this Kyle reaction that you have labeled?
Yeah, here's Kyle.
Yeah,
this
you get
is,
it.
Really his opening statement, and one that, remember, he sometimes can be very succinct, very short-winded, but also to the point. He opens up a little bit here, and it's cool because he's so businesslike. To see him emotional in a sense, not actually visibly emotional, but emotional with his words was pretty powerful.
It's crazy. It's a dream come true. And just first, I just want to thank a lot of people. I want to thank God first and foremost. And so many situations and things that happened in my life that's got me to this position. And I think back to draft night, and some people have said some things about where I was drafted, this and that, and where I could be drafted. And at the time, I think I was the least mad at anybody. I knew that I came to the right place, and I think that's how God just works sometimes. You got to see the bigger picture and has bigger plans for us. So thank you to the man above, and also to my family, my parents, my brother, fiance, all my friends, everybody just had a part in this. And this is it takes a village, and I truly mean that, and I truly feel that way. And to Mr. Bisciotti, to EDC, to Coach Harbs, and everybody who's got me to this point and developed me, and I really feel like I've been kind of molded into the player I am today by them, and goes to show why this organization is the way it is, and why it's such a great organization, and they do a great job, and it's good to be rewarded.
When you were talking about the video going into it, he's like, he wasn't emotional with like his actual emotions, just his words. And I'm like, you don't say, because Kyle Hamilton is the most even keel guy. He even talked about how he likes having Jair around, because Jair likes to get people amped up. And he's like, even I need that sometimes, because I'm not really that guy. But Bobby, he also talks about in there how he remembered back to his draft night. And Kyle was initially projected to go like in the top 5. In fact, Eric DeCosta, when they got him, was like, I cannot believe he was there at number 14. And so here's Eric DeCosta's quote from the night that they drafted him. He said, quote, "We thought this guy would be gone by pick number 4 or 5, maybe. Just too good of a player. You see how tight ends are now such weapons. We think this guy can cover tight ends. He can go down in the blocks. He can do a myriad of different things for us." Okay, that's an understatement now that we know, now that we have 2020 hindsight. He says, quote, "I never dreamed in a million years that he would be there at 14. It reminds me of the old drafts with Ozzie Newsome, where it just seemed like good players would fall down to us. It was a no-brainer for us. He's a very smart guy. With Marcus, with Chuck, with him, with Brennan Stevens, with Gino, we have a lot of moving pieces, chess pieces," close quote. Now, so there's two kind of interesting things here in Baltimore. So the reason why he fell in part was just because he plays a safety position, which along with the running back position has been devalued, right? It's not usually, that's why the Ravens were able to get Malachi Starks so late in the process too. Like, people just don't value the safety position, say like it outside linebacker or obviously quarterback. And so, but not only was that going on, but the Ravens at the time already had in their safety room Marcus Williams, Chuck Clark, and Brendan Stevens at the time was kind of playing a little bit of safety. He ended up moving to cornerback, and then they had Geno Stone. And so there were a few people in Baltimore being like, "What are the Ravens doing? How often do they make it all the way up to number 14? Like, the Ravens almost never pick in the top 15 of the draft, but they made it all the way up there." And so the critique was, you spent a number 14 pick on a safety? look at the rest of the NFL. None of them would touch him. They didn't take him at 4 or 5 EDC. So you're overvaluing a safety. You're overvaluing Kyle Hamilton. Plus, you already have all these guys in the room. And I remember Chuck Clark, like Marcus Williams, they paid a ton of money for, so they had plenty of guys. So this is where we have to go back and just have an epic reaction from a 105.7's Jason LaCanfora. I just want to say this. I got no hate for Jason. People could pull my takes and replay them because there's so many that I've gotten wrong. But this one's epic. This one's definitely epic that I wanted to play, where Jason was just so, I think angry is the right word. I was going to use passionate, and I was like, no, I think it's anger here. So here's Jason LaCanfora on 105.7 The Fan, absolutely hating that the Ravens took him at number 14.
Told people he was drafted to do. They're propagating a myth on you. So I don't like to see people bamboozled. I don't like BS. And I'm old enough to remember when they justified taking a safety at 14th overall in a year where they told you we're all in to win a Super Bowl, just like they told you we go catch over cap every year, just like they told you I'm insulted you looked at our wide receiver room and thought they couldn't play. This is the reality. He wasn't that guy. They didn't trust him to be that guy. And you don't take box hybrid linebackers and slot guys 14th overall. You take them in the 3rd round, maybe.
I just want to push back a little bit. Number one, when did we start believing their messaging? We sat here yesterday.
It's not about us. That's what they're telling people who pay their money to go there. So I'm going to call them on it every single effing time.
But they told us that we love Lamar. Lamar loves us. We told us we were going to sign Lamar. We told everything they say.
We call them out on that too.
I don't take anything they say at face value. Number two, by the end of the year, I think Kyle Hamilton was a hell of a football player.
And I challenge you on Sunday to find one snap.
I don't give a damn about your one snap. I'll tell you. No,
shut up.
No,
because I'm dealing with facts and you're doing nothing.
You're dealing with
BS. You can't win this from your couch.
I will.
You can't win it from your couch.
Because I can't talk because you won't shut the hell up. Do the work. I'm going to tell you.
Here's what
I'm going to tell you. He's a hell of a football player.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say he's supposed to be or what they say he's supposed to be.
Right.
By the end of the year,
take them
he's
14th
playing
overall.
91% of the snaps, and he created and recovered a fumble in a football playoff game. He played 91% of the snaps.
Bro.
The guy can play. That's all that matters. Team around the league, teams around the league, good teams. Kansas City, Philadelphia.
No one takes a kid like that 14th overall.
They're littered with taking bad football players in the first round.
So does this team.
Kid's a good.
That was so much fun. Bobby, listen, you and I have had our disagreements and we've gotten passionate. Oh man, it's just so, it's like once it hits that level though, it just becomes pure comedy for me. So again, much love to Jason LaCanfora, but I am curious like how he feels now. Obviously he's now the highest paid safety in the league, but some epic quotes in there. It's a myth. It's BS. You said you wanted to go to a Super Bowl and then you draft this guy 14. You don't want to go to the Super Bowl. You should have gotten a hybrid box safety / slot, maybe in the 3rd round. You don't take a guy like this 14th overall. Like it was just absolutely epic. And I would just say if that was me, I would definitely be poking fun at myself. And so I was wondering if he's done that in 105.7 The Fan. I've had some bad takes. We've had our disagreements. So this is not taking a shot at him. Just some fun stuff to go back and look at and listen to.
Well, he certainly got his co-host Ken Wyman fired up as well, which is made for quite the commentary right there. And look, Colin Cowherd's made a career, Sarah, off of one of his classic segments on his show. And that is where Colin was right and where Colin was wrong. So what an opportunity for Jason. As much as I listen to 105.7 The Fan, I don't know. I'll have to check in with my buddy Tim, who hosts with these guys. They're all co-hosts on their drive time show. It's Tim Barbalace, it's Jason, it's Ken. I'll have to check in to see if he's ever kind of walked himself back on this one, because what an opportunity to do where JLC was wrong. Kyle has been just an absolute blessing for Baltimore. He's the highest paid safety now. We know this. It's $100.4 million over the next several years. And Sarah, when you think about what his calling card is, versatility, you just think about the alignment. And I have the numbers from 2024 right in front of me, and it's just exceptional. But before I display those numbers, listen to him talking about what he brings to the table. He's so humble. He's so humble to no end. Listen to this.
Just the amount of trust they've entrusted me with in that stuff, and helping run the defense with Rowe and just playing my part, whatever that may be, on a snap-to-snap, game-to-game basis. And, I feel like I'm talented enough in different areas to do what they ask me to do, but they also have to feel like that too, and then I have to go out there and produce. So it's a group effort, but I'm willing to play wherever, whenever they need me to, whatever job responsibility I have during a play, I'm all for it. And credit to Notre Dame, I kind of got dabbled with that a little bit in college, so I got to the league, and I feel like my rookie year, kind of trying to find a spot where I fit in at, and then figure that out at nickel, and then I was always able to play safety, so it kind of just came naturally.
There's even keel, and then there's Kyle Hamilton. But speaking of even, how about the balanced nature with which he played last year in 2024? Here's his snap count. Here's the ridiculous, almost unparalleled versatility that he showed last year. Okay, free safety, Sarah, logged over 300 snaps, 355 to be exact. Slot corner, just under 300 at 292. Linebacker, over 200, 246 to be exact. Strong safety, 124. Defensive line, 78. And corner, 18. Wow. He does it all. It doesn't matter what day it is, who the opponent is. If it's raining, sunshine, you name it. It could be hailing, or they could be indoors. He's going to show up, and he's going to be a reliable defensive player and a weapon for you. So much so, when Mike McDonald went off to Seattle a year or two ago, this will be his second season now as the head coach. And of course, he was Kyle Hamilton's defensive coordinator for a while. He loves Kyle so much, Sarah, that he's grooming Nick Eamon-Wari, okay, who we were talking about during our pre-draft process and all the coverage that went into him. He's the South Carolina safety that ended up in Seattle. He is going to attempt to groom Nick to be his Kyle Hamilton for the Seahawks. Okay, Kyle is a generational player. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and he's in Baltimore for the foreseeable future. What a luxury. What a luxury.
And everything you just said is exactly why he is the face of the defense now. Yes, you still have Roquan Smith. Yes, you still have Marlon Humphrey. Yes, you have Nnamdi Madubuike. All fantastic leaders to have, but it's this guy right here, who is now the face of the defense. But even he knows who the face of the franchise is. When he was asked about Super Bowl chances, everybody talking about Super Bowl in Baltimore. We obviously have to take it a week at a time. But I like that Kyle, on the day that he just was paid $100 million, and he knows what his future is like, he knows the responsibility that he has, but he gave all love to Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, 8 helps out a lot. If we got 8, we got a chance. So.
Do you guys have, what are your guys' Super Bowl chances? Well, 8 helps a lot.
Yeah.
But I got to play that again.
Yeah, I mean, 8 helps out a lot. If we got 8, we got a chance. So, I mean, we could put whoever around him. I think we go as he goes. And, I think everybody in the building kind of agrees with me. As long as he's here, we have a chance for lifting that trophy at the end of the year. And that's not hyperbolic at all. I mean, he's one of the best to ever do it. And, he's him for a reason. So, that just kind of goes as being a Raven right now in this era. You're going to play with Lamar Jackson. You're going to play in some big games. You're going to play, hopefully, for some championships in the future. So I think that goes for coaches, players, staff, people in the cafeteria. Expectations are high because of that guy right there. And no, it's a lot of pressure on him, but I don't think he really feels it.
I love that end part. He's got a lot of pressure on him. He knows he's putting pressure on him, but he's like, I don't really feel like he feels it. I mean, you see him. Lamar's always smiling. He's always got those sunglasses on, especially during the preseason, looking so chill, looking so whatever. But I like this. I like this for years to come. You're going to have Kyle on one side of the ball. You're going to have Lamar on the other side. That's your future.
This unbothered personality, right? This unbothered state. The same could be said for Kyle. I mean, as much as he's, touting Lamar, and here's some final numbers for you to sink your teeth into, just speaks to the greatness of Kyle, the versatility, the flexibility. How about this? NFL Plus put these numbers together. He's one of 2 players to align 50-plus snaps at edge rusher, inside linebacker, slot corner, and safety in 2024. I know I just shared the snap count, but this is where...
But now you know how many players can do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
One of 2 in that first category. One of 3 players with 200-plus tackles recorded 15 plus tackles for loss, and 20 plus passes defensed. And we're going all the way back to his draft year since 2022. One of 3 players with 25 plus passes defensed and 10 plus quarterback hits since 2022. I mean, he's not one of one. There are other players that are doing this, but you can count on one hand.
One of 2.
There you have it. One of 2 or one of 3, depending on what
just because they do it, and just because they do it, and I'm sure they're good, that doesn't mean they're doing it as well as him. You know, so maybe he is one of one, Bobby.
When it's all said and done, he could very well be one of one. And that right there is your Kyle Hamilton segment, a day after he learned that he would be the newest and highest paid NFL safety. It's an extension and another win for Eric DeCosta's front office. And of course, the Ravens themselves.
All right.
All right. Shall we get caught up on Super Chats before quick hits?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do that. We left things off with PHP. And Sarah, why don't you take this one from Richard, a.k.a. Asmodeus Thanatos.
He says, anyone who makes that argument needs to sit back down. The Ravens have proven time and time again, you need to draft best player available.
Going back to the Kyle stuff. Saad Blitz 3445 says email sent.
I have it. I already got it.
Thank you. Still sitting at the bottom of the football chat. And with what you covered, it is perfectly on theme for today's show. Quote, we like our guys. And that's, of course, an EDC quote. And here you have it. This is via email.
Yeah, he sent this via email. And thank you, Saad Blitz. He said the subject line that he sent to us via email said, Sarah will love this. All right. So let's see here. So he says, every arrow is a player who was drafted by the Ravens or was signed as an undrafted rookie by the Ravens. It's 43 out of 53. It's as homegrown as it gets. Look at all those arrows. Yesterday, I said the Ravens like to do like 90%. Maybe I overestimated a little bit. This right here is 81%. 81% of the roster is homegrown. I'm curious, Sod, I don't know. Well, how does that compare to the rest of the league? Like 81%. Is that like the best in the league? I feel like it's got to be in the top 5, right? Like how does that compare to the rest of the league?
On an annual basis, when I see content related to this and their drafting and their ability to retain and their ability to draft, they're always in the upper echelon with the Phillies of the world. So it's great stuff from Sod. He just keeps churning out these graphics, man.
That's cool.
Good
I
stuff.
gotta share this though. Can I share this, Sod?
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a hard yes from him. Okay. I won't speak for him though. PHP Park Heights Prophet with another $20 super chat donation. And he writes, Vault, I have not heard anything this bad in my life. JLC's takes are beyond cheeks, beyond buns, beyond trash. Some people deserve hate. And no, Sarah, he thinks he is always right. He is an arse hat to the highest degree, a bum. I will say, having listened to the show as much as I do, it's been a while, but having listened to the show, been very familiar with it, he very seldom walks himself back to PHP's point here, which is too bad because, man, we all have those takes. We all have ones that we want back. We all have ones that age like milk, right? And when you just go ahead and hold yourself accountable, I don't know. I think it's a way to ingratiate yourself with the fan base that inevitably trolls you, and some will always troll you. We all know that in this space. But PHP, Sarah, making his feelings known on this topic. Sergeant Knight, this one's for you.
Sergeant Knight says, took daughter to NDSU. What's that?
Sounds like North Dakota State U.
Okay. Oh, so you dropped off your daughter at college? Is that what's going on? I feel like UDR dad. Any more translations? 2-2 go. This was very difficult, Sergeant Knight.
UDR. Oh, an undrafted dad.
Oh, an undrafted rookie dad. Okay, so he just dropped off his daughter at college. The emotions, I'm sure, was running high. I've got a couple years until that. So he feels like okay. So he's feeling like Roy Higgins today. I get that.
Much.
That's what we're getting here.
Well, congratulations to your daughter. Congratulations to you and your family. We had to decipher this one, but yeah, North Dakota State is getting your daughter, and it sure looks like you sound and feel like an undrafted rookie father today. We're wishing you the best. God King writes, I hate as 8 goes, we go. The rest of the team needs to carry 8. The defense should be trying to carry the game every game. If 8 has a bad game, we're effed. And that has proven to be true in the postseason for sure, which is why Marlon Humphrey, Sarah, has made it abundantly clear that the shortage of turnovers, right, and momentum shifting plays in the last however many years, let's call it in Lamar's era, the last 7, hasn't been good enough. And he's made that clear throughout this offseason.
Hey, Bobby, do you smell something cooking?
I see a certain color banner.
Do you smell meatloaf?
I smell a certain color that I saw, and that means meatloaf can't be far behind in the kitchen. So, let's go ahead and read it first before I strain my vocals, and I'll let you do this one.
Eric says, good afternoon, everyone. Just want to say September is Suicide Awareness Month. Please educate yourself on the signs, get help if you need it, and check on your military veterans and stop the 22 per day. I did not know it was that many. Hashtag 20-0, hashtag 6K for LJ, hashtag enjoy your weekend, and hashtag the vault. Eric is always out here trying to do good.
Yeah. Salute to you, Eric. We know you're mourning the loss of your godbrother. I'm not sure if there's a correlation between this message and his recent passing. Regardless of whether or not there is, we wish you the best. We've been thinking about you for sure, praying for you. And because you gave me the green light yesterday, I assume that still exists today, even though I was a little weary of it yesterday, just because it is a somber time for Eric and his company. But being that green light still exists, one time, run it. And John is currently in the laundry room off to my left. He definitely just jumped through his skin. But that's what's going on today here inside the vault. Thanks to Eric and thanks to all of you for the love. Let's get to some quick hits, some final thoughts before we go off to our 4-day weekend. And Sarah, the Steelers signed former Raven Chuck Clark and Max Sharping, but we're mentioning this because it's Chuck, to their active roster. I believe he was initially released, and they signed him back. So Pittsburgh has Chuck Clark. Of course, Chuck spent his last several years with the New York Jets. He's a former day 3 pick of the Ravens. I think you got to go all the way back to 2017, if memory serves. Played for Virginia Tech. I'm a big fan of Chuck. Used to do some volunteer work with him when I was in my radio days, and he's just a baller. He's a hard-nosed player, just somebody that's sort of an unsung guy, and was the green dot communicator for a long time as sort of the Ravens back end point guard, if you will. So another guy, though, I think this is probably why you're bringing it in. Another guy that goes to the enemy.
That's Pittsburgh Ravens roster only grows. The Pittsburgh Ravens.
Correct. So now, just to give us a little bit of a reminder, we know Patrick Queen is a Steeler. We know that Deshaun Elliott is a Steeler. They now have Chuck Clark on their active roster. Who else are former Ravens on this roster? Let's see. I'm just taking a look at it. Did we miss anybody? Oh, Herbig, no.
Why don't you look it up while I go to another quick hit? How about that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Dreams yesterday wrote a super chat about this, and then he followed up and he sent the video and tagged us on Twitter. So we'll go ahead and play it as a quick hit. Mad Dog on First Take, talking about who the top players are in the league. And Malik Harrison is over there with the Steelers, or I should say the Pittsburgh Ravens. So anyway, here's Mad Dog saying that Lamar Jackson is not a top 5 NFL player.
Have put together a list of who they think will be the best players in 2025. The list sees the likes of 3 QBs and Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson in the top 5. All right, Mad Dog, I'm focused on you. Is Lamar Jackson a top 5 player right now?
Well, first off, I don't like lists in baseball or football where you put the quarterback with the player or the pitcher with the everyday player. That's the first, because it's almost 2 separate categories. That's the first thing. Second thing, how in the world could you put Lamar over Joe Burrow when Joe Burrow won a championship playoff game in Kansas City? Jackson's never done that. How in the world can you do that? And, speaking of where is T.J. Watt on this list? You're telling me T.J. Watt is not a top 10 player? Where the heck is he? How about, I don't understand. Where's Max Crosby on this list? You can't put Jackson 4. Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes. If you want to put the quarterback with the player, which I would never do, but if you want to do that, you have to go Burrow, not in any particular order, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, 1, 2, 3. That's all there is to it. 1, 2, 3. Then you want to put Garrett 4. You want to maneuver, but you can't put Lamar Jackson ahead of Burrow, who's won a championship game in Kansas City. Jackson's never done that. That's ridiculous.
I'm just laughing because Mad Dog is such an entertainer. He's so wrong, but he's such an entertainer. He's a legend in the radio business, Sarah. This take obviously is not one that I know we don't agree with it. It goes back to, what did he do last year where he was flipping all over the place?
Remember, it was after John Harbaugh said that Lamar Jackson said something like Lamar Jackson's one of the best quarterbacks in the history. What was the strong quote from Harbaugh?
Well, Harb said we're aiming to be the greatest quarterback that the game has ever seen, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And
then Mad Dog agreed with him for a minute. Yeah. And then 2 days later, he took it back.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I'm definitely to the point where I just can't take him seriously anymore, because you're laughing because it's just entertainment. I don't know that he believes anything he says. And when he said that about Lamar, he just goes to such extremes. When he said that about Lamar, I'm pretty sure Burrow had already won the AFC championship game that he's speaking to. And I'm pretty sure Lamar Jackson is 6-1 head-to-head with Joe Burrow. And then the audacity to say that Myles Garrett is above him, because listen, Myles Garrett is fantastic. He might be the best pass rusher in the league. But are we watching what's happening in Cleveland? Are we watching how they all celebrated a couple years ago because Joe came out of retirement and had this ridiculous run, and they made the playoffs the first time in years? And then they went back to not being a playoff team. If Myles Garrett had the type of impact that Lamar Jackson had, they would be going to the playoffs. Lamar Jackson's healthy. Ravens are going to the playoffs no matter what. So that's sure. Then let's he's saying that you should separate quarterbacks from the rest of the league, but he's forced to do it. Okay, well then why don't you recognize the impact that Lamar has versus what's happening in Cleveland? He just can't, as a pass rusher, have the impact that Lamar has. And the Joe Burrow stuff, my goodness, let's see if they can get back to the playoffs first and actually beat Lamar more than once in 7 games. All entertainment. Just to get me worked up like this, Bobby. I told myself I wouldn't get worked up.
I can't stand lists. That's one thing I agree with him on. He can't stand lists. I can't stand lists. How about Mike Davis? You know what he can't stand? The former strength and conditioning regiment that he was a part of in Baltimore. You guys might remember Mike Davis. He's a former Ravens running back from a couple years ago. And which podcast did he join, Sarah, to talk about? Raw Room. And this is what he had to say. No surprise here. I think a lot of people during this era of Ravens football, or at least this era of Ravens strength and conditioning, would probably, I know Derek Wolfe would co-sign this. Listen to this.
More, you know how I say Chicago was bad? Baltimore was a different kind of bad, though. Baltimore was the reason why I wanted to retire.
Damn.
Baltimore was bad when it came to conditioning, practice, strength, the weight room and all that shit. That shit was bad.
Oh,
for real? I'm not surprised.
But so you would think that their program they've been doing this for so long.
No, they treat their players right though. You know what I'm saying? They treat everybody right. They do everybody good. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. But the weight room and conditioning was kind of this shit OD, bro.
Oh, I see something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on no college shit. It was hard, bro. Yeah. And I mean, if you didn't, people that was playing or dressing out, vets and shit like that, we got 2 workouts a week. If you didn't get your 2 workouts done before Wednesday, buddy, you're fucked because you're gonna be
Oh
hurt.
man, I
You're
have
gonna be
no
hurt.
idea. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the weight room.
Damn, so a Friday workout ass nigga.
Work out on Wednesday you want to. There's a great possibility that you're gonna be hurt at practice.
I'm not even paying attention anymore. I'm just like, oh, whoa, count 1, 2, 3. You get a curse and you get a curse.
This is why I should not grab videos like 15 minutes before the show starts.
But the point is,
yes,
right? That was, I don't know, I don't want to call it a universal belief, but there was a belief in that locker room that many players have spoken on since, that the strength and conditioning department was not in their best interests health-wise. And I'm sure that was a big reason, players have a voice, that they went in a different direction.
Yeah.
And Scott Elliott brought in a new way of thinking. He did assume that role, right? He was underneath Steve Saunders, but it's a younger, maybe more modern look at how you build out a strength and conditioning department. It's more specialized to your players with their injury history, with their visions, their position groupings, and so on and so forth. And hopefully there was an evolution there of maybe old guard to new guard. But yeah, Mike Davis clearly letting all of us know how he felt that time. Sarah?
Yes. I'm just laughing at the
Live
right
chat
now.
funny right now.
Very funny. Dre Dog had me laughing for sure. What was the grade they got? An F minus for strength and conditioning back then?
Yes.
So here's what's funny about Mike Davis. Remember, he was like, they made me want to retire. It was literally his last team that he was with. From 2015 to 16, he went to the 49ers, then the Seahawks, then the Bears, then the Panthers, then the Falcons, then the Ravens. Then he was done. He's like, he made me want to retire, and he did.
Yeah.
That was bad back then. And it has to do with that. It kind of goes along with that super chat we got a minute ago about like, what was the super chat? They made like about the health and the injuries and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And who knows if it's a coincidence? I'm sure the Ravens, like sometimes luck has to do with injuries. Sometimes it's just training right and all that kind of stuff. And Kadri Ishmael would, pound the table that it's most of it's avoidable. And so just what a long way the Ravens have come.
No doubt. Eileen Nolan is celebrating 2 months of channel membership, to get back to our super chats here. And she writes, first of all, peace up in her profile there.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to see Roy Higgins when they win the Super Bowl. I was rooting for Higgins to make the team. Love you all. Thanks, Eileen. Olu, Sarah, for you. Olu, and you gave me this pronunciation. Let's see if I can remember it. I want to say it was, Ogunyemi?
Ogunyumi.
Ah, yes.
So it's gun and like the word you. So gun you is what helps me get it. Ogunyumi. Yes.
Ogunyemi.
You're spelling Y-O-U.
Got you. Olu, looking like a bad boy in his profile photo too. This is for you.
He says, man, Higgins' dad hit home. Always awesome when your kids reach their dreams. What an amazing blessing. Also, praying for you, Eric. Stay safe.
Appreciate you, Olu. And Eric Hill is here. He is right on cue. Green lights still exist. Message is no relation to the recent passing. Safe travels, Cougar Hunter. Hashtag I believe. Hashtag Voltrons. And just in case you've missed the last couple days, I let everybody in on a little secret that's not a secret, but I wanted to make it one just to play it up, that I matched with a 52-year-old in the Florida area. I'm getting ready to go down to St. Pete for the next 8 months. I've signed a lease. I'm excited about the change and maybe excited about a new dating venture. We'll see. Thanks, Eric.
Wait. What's the update? Have you guys been communicating at all?
No,
okay.
I have a bunch of different matches that I'm going back and forth with, and then I'm being open with, transparent with about new to the area, looking forward to getting, familiarized with St. Pete, and, would love to meet up for a drink, meet up for a, lunch, whatever. And maybe that ends up being Mary in this case. Earl Terrain for you.
Earl says, I've been monitoring the show's growth. Your live pregame show should be in the works. I can handle the robotics production. The Voltrons help build a mobile set. Sarah has to be flown in. Thumbs up emoji. Now, wait a minute here. So he wants an on-site pregame show in Baltimore where I fly in.
That's kind of dope.
That is
And guess what? We're both flying in now. So
oh yeah, you'd be flying in. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, Earl. I would love to hear more from you over email if you could.
Earl, do you got a church spot for me to go to beforehand? Because I'm not going to church, even though the clip I just played may imply otherwise.
Nah, you're hysterical. Your face was hysterical there. But Earl, BaltimoreRavensVault at gmail.com. Get Chera a chapel. Get Sarah a chapel. All right. A church.
I'm joking. I know where all the LDS chapels are in Baltimore.
I love it. But no, Earl, email us, BaltimoreRavensVault at gmail.com. You always know we're willing to listen. God King says, I can't reiterate enough. The defense needs to carry 8, going back to his earlier super chat from the show.
Well,
Thanks.
and I feel like it's like carry him when he's having a bad day, right? Like Lamar Jackson's the straw that stirs the drink around here. But I agree that like if he's having an off day, can he rely on some people to pick him up every once in a while, or does he have to be perfect 24/7?
Thanks, God King. Park Heights Prophet for you, Sarah.
He says at this point, the one AFC Championship game win will be on Burrow's headstone.
This dude. This is his third $20 super chat, just so we're clear.
Let's hang the AFC champion banner in Cincinnati and give them credit for 25 years on it. The goalposts for 8 haven't just moved. They are in orbit at this point. Hashtag they hate 8.
Never change, PHP. Just unloading super chats on this Thursday. Dream says the list was for 2025. What does 3 years ago have to do with 2025? And he never mentioned how Burrow hasn't been to the playoffs the past 2 years. You did, though, Sarah. And, of course, Dreams is referring to Mad Dog's reaction to the top 10 player list going into 2025. Saad Blitz 3445. Sarah, he's been busy on the graphics department. Here he is.
He says, he reminds us Lamar is 6-1 versus Joe Burrow. Cincinnati only made the postseason. Is that post-PO? Playoffs. 2 years, and number 8 was hurt. That's true.
Here comes Vinacat PR. Here's a super chat because this episode is not getting monetized after so many S words. LOL. Appreciate you guys always. It must be hard to show up every day, but you make the world a better place.
Oh, that's funny.
Thank you for that. Hopefully we stay monetized. And thank you, Vinacat.
We don't get
PR.
demonetized for cursing, right? I mean, most
super
people
chat.
curse on their shows. I mean, you curse on all your personal. There's no way. Have you been demonetized on your show for cursing?
No. And sometimes I get on a little bit of a, I don't know. I let it rip. I let it fly sometimes just because it's fun and you kind of let your guard down a little bit sometimes. Here's Richard, Sarah, for you.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying laughing right now. Sarah FFSSDD Ellison. Yeah, Dre Dog a couple minutes ago had me laughing because he called me Sarah F. and Ellison.
Oh, yeah, that was good. Richard, you're hysterical. You guys are all. This is a great show. A lot of fun. Almost 2 hours worth of content as we go into our 4-day weekend. Just to remind you guys of programming updates here. Sarah and I are taking really one last rest, if you will, leading into this upcoming season. We're excited about it. It's a 4-day weekend for the Ravens and for us. We will next be live here inside the vault on Tuesday. That's coming up this Tuesday after Labor Day. So have a healthy, safe, fun Labor Day weekend, depending on what you're up to. No matter what you're up to, enjoy it. And the next time you'll hear from us, Sarah, I'm going to have a new backdrop. I'm going to be settled into St. Pete, hopefully by the time we're live, and start my trek tomorrow morning. First leg is going to be in Baltimore. Got to get the Broncos serviced up at Preston. Got to get a dentist appointment in. Got to get Tilly situated. Say hello to the cousins. And then it's southbound more for St. Pete in this new chapter for me, which I'm really excited about. I just want to say thanks to you and your for all your support over the last couple of weeks. It's just been so crazy on both of our ends. And to use a golf term that I know you love and I've taught you in the last few weeks, we've been hamming and egging it. One day Sarah's getting after it for me and kind of, pulling weight for both of us, and then vice versa whenever she needs it. So I just want to say thanks to you for, your continued partnership, and for everybody else just kind of hanging on for this ride. This will be year 4 really when we're live next, it will be a game week, if you will, meaning we're going to have a Bills guest join us on Friday coming up next week. We're going to have all kinds of looks ahead to this rematch and a ton of content to get to, including press conferences that'll be back right in action Wednesday through Friday on normal weeks where we have Sunday games. And I'm just looking forward to all that and more, partner. Let's go.
Well, keep me updated on the move over the weekend. It was funny how I said on Tuesday when you were back that I was like 3 days was too long to not talk since we talk like every day, mostly about football, but still. But I don't trust myself to get on Instagram. I'm sure you're gonna give updates there. So whatever you post on Instagram, if you could just also text me and let me know that you're safe and all of that. And listen, moves are no joke. Moves are always more exhausting and more time consuming than you even plan, right? It's just, there's always something else. And so I hope you let yourself rest a little bit and get, enough sleep and all that kind of stuff. But I also hope you have fun and that you're safe. But for sure, keep me updated if you can.
I definitely will. And you're right about moves. I've had a couple of them in recent years, but the good news is this is a furnished place. All my stuff remains in storage.
There we go.
In Canton storage. For those of you that are in the Baltimore area, it will remain there over the course of the next 8 months. Want to shout out Morningstar Storage for giving me the opportunity to just stash my stuff there. That's the beauty of Furnished Finder. It's like a travel nurse app that I came across. And while I'm not a travel nurse, they do have opportunities for people that are outside of that industry, and I'm taking advantage of it. So the Broncos going to be packed to the brim, and Tilly will be with me for companionship, and I'm just excited about what this might mean or may not mean. I'm going to go down there and check it out, and it means absolutely nothing for us. We're going to continue to do what we do, and I'm going to go to Baltimore, a handful of times over those 8 months. So
and apparently you'll have a studio and an on-site. Yeah,
maybe.
Sounds like somebody's ready to build that for us.
Maybe. So it's been a great few months here in upstate New York. And I just wanted to, again, reiterate our gratitude for all of you. We're really just, I think, elated to be going up for season number 4. It's crazy to believe that we've been able to sustain this, and it's all because of you guys. So 25,000 plus subscriptions later, a ton of watch hours, sponsorship opportunities, a community, channel members, super chat donors. You guys are just incredible. Patrons, literally email messengers every single day. It means so much to us. It really does. And we're looking forward to year number 4 together that begins next week. So for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Thursday edition. A 4-day weekend, I should say, awaits us, and we are looking forward to all that and more. We'll catch up with you on Tuesday. Have an awesome weekend. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Get yourself a piece of Vault merch before this regular season commences at thevaultpod.com/shop. As always, Vaultrons, we appreciate you very much, and thanks for spending some time with us here inside the Vault. We'll talk to you soon.